All right, guys. Um, I know this is super random, Speedy Tuesday, but I thought, you know what? I haven't done a live in a while. With absolutely no warning, why not do this? And I can clearly see no one's in the chat or anything like that just yet. Who knows if anyone will even come on? It is absolutely random timing on all occasions. But just in case some people do decide to check it out, I'll just hang out for a bit and see if we can snag anybody with absolutely no warning when it comes to me going live. So there I was. I can't even ask you guys if you can hear me because you know, there's that. All right, hey, I see there's some people in here. Two people joined. Nice. That's wonderful. So let me see if I can pop up my chat here just to make sure that I can see. Top chat, live chat, all messages are visible. Let's go with that. All right, so a couple people joined us. So as you guys know, it's a Speedy Tuesday today, and I actually went in line to San Diego to try and get the Moonswatch, the new one, the mission to moon phase. Unfortunately, even though I got there an hour early, which I know some of you who have had to wait in much longer lines are probably thinking an hour early is nothing. But even me getting there an hour early, unfortunately, they were just so low in stock that they ended up, selling out relatively quick. They probably serviced about, um, you know, maybe less than a quarter of the total line that was there. So that was kind of a bummer. But the cool thing is I got to hang out and talk shop with quite a few other fellow enthusiasts. So that was awesome. And I was already planning on kind of doing a little reveal for you guys on Speedy Tuesday, which is I finally got a Speedmaster. No, it's not the Moonswatch. It's not a Moonswatch. It's actually a regular Speedmaster. And there's a lot of different ones. And I'll probably do at some point a more kind of legit. Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, how are things in Canada? Good, I hope. um, so, yeah, I just wanted to share this with you guys because I've obviously been an Omega Speedmaster fan for a long time, but there was so many reasons that kind of kept me off of buying one for many, many years. There were things like, Hesselite crystal, non-hacking, 3 hertz movement, pretty much only. Hey, I'm glad things are warming up. Um, so there have been a number of reasons that I hadn't got one over the years. Also, they are kind of an obvious watch, right? Like for me, being a collector, having a channel, having all these diverse watches come through, it's tough for me to ever kind of settle on something that's going to be a very obvious choice. I kind of like to feel like I'm going to go with the more curated choice. And in that case, I got something that's a little bit more curated. Also, a big shout out to Dasari. This is their role from Strapsco, and that's what I have it in here because I actually got this watch without box and papers. Which is which is tough, and that's why it's really important that you're gonna buy the seller because I bought this from Belmont Watches, and if it wasn't Belmont Watches, I would have been much less likely to pull the trigger. I traded for this piece, so no more Zin U50 tegimented. Now I have this Speedy. Another thing that I did was I added an aftermarket bracelet thanks to Forstener. So big shout out to Forstener. Big shout out to my son for making this little Lego shuttle for me. So I did put an aftermarket bracelet on because the bracelet itself, sorry, is actually quite dated. As you guys can see here, I don't want to give it away just yet, but it's a very dated style bracelet. And I will say the male style end link honestly didn't do the watch any favors in terms of the shape of it. So, yeah, I mean, we've got like 14 people in here. This is super last minute, so I'm not super worried about it. But big shout out to Forstener, guys. I think the addition of this particular bracelet really makes the watch. So, are you guys ready to see what Speedmaster that I got? big YouTuber. Oh, hey. Yeah, it does suck to get rid of the Zin. It was a great watch. I loved it probably more as, an item in a vacuum and maybe not as much as a wristwatch because I just found myself never wearing it. As much as I admired it, as much as I loved every little attribute about it, all these little details that I really fawned over for so many years before finally picking one up, I ultimately didn't wear it. And, I didn't want to spend on this. So it ended up making sense to just do the trade. And again, no box, no papers. So yeah, big shout out to now I have a box to put it in. This is really cool Saffiano roll here that's marketed as a Dasari, but it is one of Strapsco brands. You guys can see it's very nice. It unrolls and you even get a little workstation here, which is pretty cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. Some of you, I don't know if a lot of people are going to recognize this watch here because it's really flies under the radar, guys. This one kind of breaks a lot of rules for speedy enthusiasts, and that was one of the things that probably made me like it even more and really put it over the top. Check this out, guys. So it is a broad arrow model. It is the Speedmaster Broad Arrow Automatic 3551.50, and I really love this thing. It does so many things that I really enjoy about the Speedmaster heritage. Basically, around 1997, there was a Speedmaster that they called the replica, and then they later rebranded it to the remake. And a couple years after that, in the early 2000s, they had this model, which was essentially a non-special edition, just regular model, but they made it an automatic. They put a date there at 6, and but essentially it had all of those those hallmarks that I enjoyed. I love the mashup idea. You're taking the original Speedmaster, the broad arrow style and everything like that, but you're updating it and you're putting it within the professional case. This is a 42 millimeter watch, but like, all speedy professionals that share the same case, you guys can see it's an asymmetrical case. So here the bezel cuts off. There, the bezel, there's some overhang on the case because the case sticks out more because essentially those are crown guards, shear guards for those pushers. So there's a couple of really interesting facts about this particular model, apart from the fact that I think it's gorgeous. But essentially, it shares the same case as the professional, but then of course it has the true to pre-Moonwatch style of the steel bezel there, and then the broad arrow layout. You're also getting applied indices. You're even getting, which I feel like has never even really been caught on video before for this model. It actually even has a very slight sunray effect to the dial. So this thing is really, really like luxurious feeling in a way. It's quite blingy. And then of course you add to that this nice contemporary flatling bracelet from Forstner. The nice thing is now you have the female end link, so everything hangs off really nice and it's very compact, flows really nice. I actually used the post 2021 fitment in terms of the end link there, which is what they recommended for me. They said it's actually a more versatile end link, and it would fit better and probably across more variations. And wow, did it ever work out? I mean, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. You guys can see screw link construction, full range here. Oh, hey, what's up? Hopefully Michigan's doing well. Junior Johnson, man, your comments are always always much appreciated on my videos. So you got a nice full range of manual micro adjusts here. Again, the satin, the high polish, the mill folding section, it all flows on the case back. Very simple. You do have the hippocampus there, and then just the broad arrow text. If you guys can see that, check that out there. And the cool thing is the hippocampus isn't ironic in this case because this actually does have 100 meters of water resistance. So again, more things in those little details that really put this one over the top for me in terms of just getting a more standard professional watch. Because the Moonwatch, the Speedmaster Professional, it still had some of those things lacking. 3 hertz sweep. This has a 4 hertz movement. This has hacking. The newer models do have hacking as well. But this bin had hacking. Also, this was already a chronometer, right? Now they finally are master chronometers. But yeah, this one just definitely captures a certain charm for me that yeah, it just really resonated with me. And I'll do a full review and everything like that. But in terms of like measurements, 39 and a half at the bezel. So to give you an idea of how this is going to wear. And the nice thing is because it doesn't have a black bezel around a black dial, essentially visually it's going to help shrink down the visual presence there, and it's going to make you really enjoy the lugs, and you're really going to see how everything flows. So yeah, for me, visually, design wise, this just did so many things that I just I mean, I couldn't pass it on. I was supposed to just review this, and I ended up telling the guys at Belmont, like, no, we got to cut a deal because I need this. It's really really nice. Oh, hey, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, I know it's not known as the replica. The replica was actually the one that was the broad arrow that was actually a little bit truer to the original because it had the essentially it was just a Speedmaster Professional with an old school dial and then the broad arrow hands. This one is one of the ones that came out after that's actually fully automatic. And it actually uses a really interesting movement, um, which not a lot of people know about. It's the Omega 3303 caliber, which is a chronometer, and it's actually been used. It's the automatic version, and it does have the date there, as you guys can see. Another visual difference besides the applied indices versus the replica or later on rebranded as the reissue is the running seconds hand there. You're going to see it has everything kind of out in a quadrant versus being a little bit more traditional to the Moonwatch layout. So yeah, I mean, I'm loving this thing. I've been kind of really excited to there's actually a pretty big backlog. I have so many videos that are in the queue that if I recorded something today, you guys wouldn't see it for another 3-4 weeks. But I did want to do a live and just kind of reveal to you guys this one just because yeah, I mean I love these broad arrow hands. I really enjoy the fact that it is an automatic, it is a chronometer. It does have a 4 hertz sweep. It does offer hacking as well as hand winding, vertical clutch. It also has a column wheel movement. So there's definitely a lot to like here. 55-hour power reserve. And then, yeah, 100 meters of water resistance, which you can't get from the Speedmaster Professional, right? 50 meters water resistance versus this one. I got a full 10 bar, 100 meters, which is going to give me a lot more peace of mind. Not that I'm going to take this thing swimming or anything, but let's say I get it dirty, I get it sweaty. I'm not going to feel too scared to, to rinse it off and wipe it down, which is great, right? In terms of maintenance, still 20 millimeter lugs, still has a case that fits all of these great bracelet options for the professional. So yeah, I definitely really dig that. Um, yeah, thank you. This one was definitely a very nice example. Also, yeah, because this did come out a little bit later than the 97 replica slash reissue, there were certain things. And also, even within the movement, right, with this 3303, in some of the early days, there were some issues with those, and they eventually converted them into coaxial movements. But these movements are actually pretty famous. These are the same Piguet movements that were in APs, Breguets, Blanc Pons, Vacheron Constantin, basically like all the big hot horology watches were using the 1185, and this is based off of the 1285, and basically Omega kind of made it more robust, and there were some growing pains that like I would say like if you look at the Schumacher speedy automatics, which I would love to have one, but those are worth a lot more than these are these days. But the cool thing is, since these came out a little bit later, some of those growing pains, and obviously, I mean, watch from the early 2000s, it's 2024. Pretty much all of those watches have been sent back to Omega. They've gone to places to get fixed. So all those little hiccups and everything are pretty much subsided. And the nice thing is now you can get a really nice look at the bling on that applied indices. I mean, we were just going crazy about applied indices on the white dial professional, right? Like, hey, I'm getting applied indices here, and an aesthetic that really stands out, and obviously is not just a nod to the aeronautical history, but also to just even the motorsports history around the original Speedmaster and the lineage that goes back with that. The Speedmaster being one of the first chronographs, if not the first, to actually take the tachymeter scale off of the dial and move it out to the bezel to feel really purpose built. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I appreciate those of you who do tune in, and I'm sure some of you are going to catch this, on a rerun. Maybe you don't catch it live. Um, Yes, yes, there is a white dial variation of this with blued indices. That one is very cool, Kevin. Thanks for bringing that up. If you guys are, paying attention to the chat, I'm trying to respond to everything that I see there. But yeah, there are some really cool variations. There's even some other complications. There's one that they even market as a professional, and it's basically just one of these watches, but they added a moon phase, which I think is funny. So yeah, there's a lot of cool ones there. I appreciate it, Junior Johnson. This has been a very long time coming in terms of me finding the right Speedmaster for me. And there's so many references. And I mean, it's like now I'm like even deeper down the rabbit hole because I'm getting to really enjoy this one. And there's a lot of really cool ones that are out there. Today while I was out in the line in front of Swatch, unfortunately, if you guys tuned in late, I didn't get the mission to Moon Phase, but I did get to meet a lot of great enthusiasts. I even talked to a couple of flippers. There was some guys that were there just straight up resellers, there just to make a profit. And honestly, by the time I was done talking to those guys, I was kind of rooting for them. So kudos to those guys. Unfortunately, they didn't get any of the watches either. So I mean, don't be too upset. But yeah, they just sold out. There was very low quantities, unfortunately, and that's kind of what I'm hearing around the way. Just the lines long exceeded the actual inventory. It wasn't that way for the Blanc Pawn when I got the Thrifty Fathoms. That one I was able to get there 10 minutes before they opened, get one, and there was still plenty to go around. This time there definitely wasn't, but I still do plan to get one. I actually have some straps en route to kind of get and wear and pair with the Snoopy, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so this one's cool. Actually, I haven't got it on the wrist yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Let me just shimmy it onto the wrist here, guys. Check that out. Look at the light play. Let me just move some of this stuff out of the way here. Yeah. Ooh. You guys know 7.5 inch wrist there. Of course, it's a bit on the round side. It's not super flat and wide. So I do have to be very conscious, of course, about proportions and ultimate diameters and lengths and everything and lug to lug. So I think this just looks like absolute magic. And then, of course, it's really transformed with this contemporary flat link from Forstner. So really fortunate. I'll do a full video, of course, on this. I might do a couple of videos, honestly, just to talk about some of the different aspects about it, and maybe even something dedicated to the bracelet, or maybe I'll just integrate them both. But yeah, this is a milestone for me. I mean, I have a pretty large collection, and I have a lot of rare pieces. And another thing that was kind of fun about this is that, yeah, you find out that the most sold watch in Japan is the Omega Speedmaster. So as much as I'm a big Seiko fan and I collect a lot of Seikos and Casios and Citizens, this is still kind of within that same vein of JDM special, just because so many Speedmasters are sold. It's the number one selling model, watch model in Japan. So I guess that kind of ties again to my love for Japanese watches and culture. I get a Swiss watch that is beloved by the Japanese, so that's kind of fun too. So with that said, guys, we're almost at 20 minutes here. It's at 19 minutes and counting. So actually, well, one thing we can do, let that kind of hit off. Check that out. Column wheel action, very, very nice. Thank you so much, guys. Boom. Boom. Yeah, nice and crisp. So with that, thanks guys for tuning in. Definitely check out the channel. I got tons of new videos coming out pretty much Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every week. And then the occasional little surprise like this, I sneak in there. Yes, my SRQ 029. I might do a comparison video, guys. I love my SRQ 029 still have it. And honestly, I've photographed them together. I haven't posted. But I think I might even just do a dedicated video where I kind of lay them next to each other and do a little versus battle. So with that said, guys, Thanks so much. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one.